The slap echoed across the crystal chandelier-lit ballroom like a gunshot. Silence swallowed 300 California's wealthiest elite as Sophia Hartwell, tech billionaire, venture capital darling, the woman Forbes called Silicon Valley's Ice Queen, stood over her husband with her hands still raised and her face twisted in disgust. "You're just a rag I picked up from the street and clothed." Her voice cut through the shocked silence. A pathetic little street, red-eyed dressed up and paraded around like a trained dog. Laughter rippled through the crowd. Nervous at first, then bolder. Someone whispered, "Did she really find him homeless?" Another voice, "I heard he was literally sleeping in garbage when she met him." The man she just struck, Donovan Pierce, didn't flinch, didn't raise his hand to his reddening cheek. He simply looked at her with those unnaturally calm gray eyes, straightened his Tom Ford tuxedo, and walked toward the exit with his head held high. What none of them knew. Not Sophia, not her lover waiting in the presidential suite upstairs, not the board members drinking champagne and watching the spectacle, was that the beggar she dressed up 8 years ago now owned 51% of everything she'd built. And tonight, the street rat was about to burn her empire to ashes. But before we dive into how a homeless man became a billionaire's worst nightmare, smash that like button if you've ever been underestimated. Hit subscribe because this story has more twists than the California highway. And drop a comment telling me, have you ever been publicly humiliated by someone you trusted? Because what Donovan does next will make you believe in karma again. Now let me take you back 8 years to a rainy night in San Francisco, where this whole beautiful disaster began. 8 years earlier, San Francisco, 2016. The rain fell like cold needles against Donovan's skin as he pressed himself deeper into the coffee shop doorway. His third night sleeping outside. His stomach had stopped growling hours ago. Now it just ached, a dull constant reminder that he'd eaten nothing but a discarded half sandwich in 2 days. 26 years old. Stanford dropout. Failed entrepreneur. Homeless. 3 months ago, he'd had a tech startup, 2 employees, and a dream. Then his business partner, his supposed best friend, had drained the accounts and disappeared. Investors vanished. Landlord locked him out. Bank account, $3.47. Have you ever lost everything so fast you couldn't even process it? One day you're somebody. Next day you're invisible. The coffee shop's warm light spilled onto the wet sidewalk. Inside, people laughed over lattes that cost more than he'd seen in a week. A couple shared pastry. Normal. Safe. Everything he used to be. You look cold. Donovan's head snapped up. A woman stood before him, umbrella in hand, wearing a business suit that probably cost more than his entire former wardrobe. But it was her eyes that caught him, dark, intelligent, and surprisingly soft. Not pity. Something else. Curiosity, maybe? "I'm fine," he lied, teeth chattering. She tilted her head. "When's the last time you ate?" "I don't need charity." "Good, because I'm not offering it." She folded her umbrella. "I'm Sophia Hartwell. I run a startup 3 blocks from here. We're building educational software for underprivileged communities. And you have kind eyes." Donovan blinked. "What?" "Kind eyes. Intelligent eyes. You don't belong out here." She studied him like he was a puzzle worth solving. "What happened to you?" Maybe it was exhaustion. Maybe desperation. But Donovan told her everything. The betrayal, the collapse, the 3 nights on the street. She listened without interrupting. Without that look people get when they're mentally calculating their exit. When he finished, she did something that would haunt him for the next 8 years. She sat down beside him in the rain. Right there on the cold, wet concrete in her expensive suit, she sat next to a homeless stranger and said, "I've been there. Not on the streets, but broken. Last year, my company almost folded. I lost my apartment. Slept in my car for 2 months. People treated me like I was contagious. Rain soaked through her blazer. She didn't seem to notice. You know what I learned?" She turned to face him fully. "The world judges you by your worst moment. But your worst moment doesn't define who you are. It reveals what you're made of." Something in Donovan's chest cracked open. This stranger, this successful, beautiful stranger, saw him. not the dirt on his clothes or the desperation in his eyes. She saw him. Come on. Sophia stood, extending her hand. There's a diner 2 blocks away. I'm buying you dinner, and then we're going to talk about you working for me. You don't even know me. I know enough. You spoke about your failed startup for 10 minutes and never once blamed anyone but yourself. You took responsibility. That's rare. She smiled. Besides, I'm a good judge of character. Usually. Donovan took her hand. It was warm, solid, real. At the diner, she ordered enough food for 3 people and watched him eat like it was the most natural thing in the world. No judgment, no condescension. When he tried to slow down, embarrassed, she said, Eat. You're going to need energy for tomorrow. Tomorrow, you start at 9. Coding and product development. I can't pay much yet, but there's a couch in the office you can sleep on until you get back on your feet. She slid a business card across the table. Fair warning, I'm demanding. I expect excellence. But I also believe in second chances. Donovan stared at the card. EDU Tech Solutions. CEO, Sophia Hartwell. Why are you doing this? Sophia's expression softened. Because someone did it for me once. And because... She paused, something vulnerable flickering across her face. Because you remind me of who I used to be, before I learned to be hard. That night, Donovan slept on the office couch wrapped in a clean blanket she'd pulled from her car trunk. As he drifted off, he heard her working late in her office, typing furiously, fighting her own battles. He fell asleep thinking, maybe kindness still exists in this world. He had no idea he was wrong. Present day, Beverly Hills. Donovan. The screech pulled him from his laptop. He'd been reviewing investment portfolios in the home office, the secret one Sophia knew nothing about. When her voice shattered the afternoon quiet, she stormed in wearing Louboutins in fury. Did you seriously forget to pick up my dry cleaning? I had a meeting. A meeting? She laughed, sharp and cruel. What meeting could you possibly have? You don't work. You don't do anything except live off my success. The words landed like slaps. Not new ones. He'd heard variations of this speech for 3 years now, ever since EDU Tech Solutions went from struggling startup to $400 million valuation. But they still stung, because part of him remembered when she used to look at him differently. I'll get the dry cleaning now, he said quietly. Sophia's expression shifted to something almost like regret. For just a second, the woman from that rainy night flickered behind her eyes. Then it vanished. Replaced by the CEO, the mogul, the woman who'd learned that kindness was weakness. Forget it. Just try to be useful, okay? My parents are coming for dinner tonight, and I need you to not embarrass me. She left in a cloud of Chanel No. 5 and disappointment. Donovan returned his laptop and the offshore account showing $847 million in cryptocurrency investments. Money he'd made in secret over the past 8 years. Money she had no idea existed. Money that now gave him controlling interest in her company through carefully constructed shell corporations and proxy shareholders. His phone buzzed. Text from his lawyer. Transfer complete. You now own 51% of EDU Tech Solutions. She doesn't know yet. Waiting for your signal. Donovan stared at the message for a long moment, then deleted it. Not yet. He needed to see how far she'd go. How completely the kind woman who'd save him had been consumed by the monster success had created. That night's dinner would answer everything. That evening, Hartwell Mansion, Beverly Hills. The dining room sparkled with unnecessary opulence. Crystal chandelier. China that cost more than most people's cars. Wine older than Donovan. Sophia's parents, Richard and Patricia Montgomery, old tech money from Palo Alto, sat opposite ends of the table like judges at a trial. Sophia held court in the middle, radiant in designer silk. Every inch the successful daughter they'd always wanted. And Donovan? He was the decoration, the conversation piece, the reformed project. So, Donovan, Richard said, swirling his wine, still not working? I manage some investments. Sophia laughed. He day trades with pocket money. It's cute. Keeps him busy. Patricia smiled that thin, condescending smile rich people perfect over generations. Well, at least he keeps the house nice. That's something. Oh, he's very good at domestic tasks, Sophia agreed, and Donovan heard the edge beneath the sweetness. I literally picked him up off the street and dressed him like a doll, taught him everything, how to dress, how to speak, how to exist in civilized society. The words hung in the air like poison. Richard chuckled. I remember when you first brought him home. We thought you'd lost your mind, picking up some homeless nobody. But you've always had a talent for reclamation projects. It's charity work, really, Patricia added. Very noble of you, dear. Donovan cut his steak precisely, mechanically. Didn't look up. Didn't respond. Because here's the thing about humiliation. You can either break under it or let it forge you into something harder, something patient, something dangerous. Although, Sophia continued, pouring more wine, I do sometimes wonder what would have happened if I had just walked past him that night. He'd probably still be sleeping in doorways. Or dead, Richard said matter-of-factly. Homeless rarely last long. They all laughed. A family joke. The rescued street rat and his savior. Donovan's phone buzzed in his pocket. Another message from his lawyer. Board meeting scheduled for tomorrow. Perfect timing? He excused himself to the bathroom and typed one word. Soon, when he returned, Sophia was telling their story, to her parents. But in her version, there was no sitting in the rain together, no vulnerability, no moment of genuine human connection. In her version, she'd simply felt sorry for a pathetic homeless man and decided to be generous. An act of ego more than empathy. You were so grateful, she said, smiling at him across the table. You practically kissed my feet. I was grateful, Donovan said softly. You saved my life. Something flickered in Sophia's eyes. Guilt? Memory? But it died as quickly as it sparked. Well, yes, I did. She raised her glass. To second chances and knowing your place. Richard and Patricia toasted. Donovan lifted his glass and drank, tasting ash and fury and the sweet anticipation of what was coming. After her parents left, Sophia found him on the balcony overlooking the city. For a moment, just a moment, she was the woman from 8 years ago. Vulnerable. Real. She curled against his side, head on his shoulder. You know I don't mean those things, right? I have to maintain appearances. My parents, the board, they expect a certain version of me. Donovan said nothing. You're my lucky charm, she whispered, kissing his cheek. I don't know what I'd do without you. His heart stuttered. Maybe my little house pet, she added with a soft laugh, the tenderness evaporating like morning dew. My successful little reclamation project. Donovan pulled away gently. I'm tired. I'm going to bed. She didn't follow. Instead, she pulled out her phone and stepped away, voice low but not low enough. Victor? Yeah, they bought it. No, he suspects nothing. After the IPO next month, I'll file for divorce. Of course I'll get everything. He signed the prenup. Finally be free of my charity case. Donovan stood frozen in the hallway, listening to her plot the end of their marriage with her business partner, her lover. He waited until she hung up, then walked to his office and sent one message to his lawyer. Tomorrow, burn it all down. The next morning, Donovan woke to an empty bed. Not unusual. Sophia often left before dawn for breakfast meetings that lasted until noon. He knew where she really was. The Ritz-Carlton Presidential Suite, room 2847, where Victor Strand, her business partner, chief technology officer, and secret lover of 2 years, waited with champagne and empty promises. Donovan had known for 18 months, had evidence that would destroy them both. Photos, messages, hotel receipts, everything. But revenge is a dish best served when your enemies feel most invincible. His phone rang. Unknown number. Mr. Pierce? This is Detective Helena Carver, LAPD. I need to speak with you about some serious allegations. His blood went cold. Allegations? Your wife filed a report claiming domestic abuse. Says you've been threatening her, controlling her finances, exhibiting violent behavior. A pause. She provided hospital photos showing bruises. Donovan closed his eyes. So this was her play. Destroy his credibility before the divorce. Paint him as abuser. Guarantee she'd keep everything. Those allegations are false. I'm sure they are, sir. But I need you to come down to the station for questioning. This afternoon, if possible. Of course. He hung up and immediately called his lawyer, a shark named Penelope Cross who'd made her fortune destroying powerful people. They're going nuclear, he said. Good. Penelope's voice dripped satisfaction. Let them. We have every conversation recorded, every text message, every hotel room bill, and in 2 hours, the board meeting starts. Should I proceed? Donovan thought of Sophia in Victor's arms, planning his destruction while pretending to love him. Thought of 8 years of slow, calculated humiliation, of becoming the punchline to her success story. Proceed. You're sure? Once this starts, there's no going back. I'm sure. Then let's introduce Mrs. Hartwell to the consequences of her choices. EDU Tech Solutions headquarters, conference room A. The emergency board meeting was scheduled for 2 p.m. Donovan arrived at 1:45, dressed in a suit that cost more than Sophia's monthly car payment. Armani, custom fitted. The kind of suit that announced power before you even spoke. Nobody recognized him. Why would they? To the board of directors, he was Sophia's house husband, the rescue project, the man who occasionally showed up at company parties looking uncomfortable in borrowed confidence. Today, he wasn't Donovan Pierce, the charity case. Today, he was DM Pierce, the anonymous investor who'd saved EDU Tech Solutions from bankruptcy 3 times over the past 5 years. The silent partner whose mysterious injections of capital had transformed a struggling startup into a tech giant. The representative for the Titan Trust, owner of 51% of company shares. Penelope Cross met him outside the conference room, her expression sharp as surgical steel. Everything's ready. The evidence is compiled. Victor arrived 20 minutes ago, looking smug. Sophia is running late, probably still at the Ritz. And the board, they believe they're here to discuss the IPO timeline and approve Sophia's proposal to restructure executive compensation. Penelope's smile could cut glass. They have no idea they're about to witness an execution. Good. Donovan. She caught his arm. Last chance. We can still walk away. Take the majority stake, force a buyout, and disappear with your fortune. You don't have to humiliate her publicly. For a moment, Donovan remembered Sophia in the rain, the woman who'd sat beside him when he had nothing, who'd called him kind, who'd seen potential beneath the dirt and desperation. Then he remembered last night's phone call. Finally be free of my charity case. She made her choice, he said quietly. Now she lives with it. The conference room was already half full when they entered. 12 board members, tech investors, venture capitalists, Silicon Valley aristocracy. At the head of the table sat Victor Strand, looking like a man who'd already won. Tall, handsome in that generic CEO way. Perfectly styled hair. Smile that didn't reach his eyes. The kind of man who'd sell his own mother for a better stock option. He glanced at Donovan with barely concealed contempt. Security let you in? I thought this was board members only. Mr. Pierce is representing the Titan Trust. Penelope said smoothly, our largest shareholder. Victor's smile faltered. The Titan Trust finally sent a representative? After 5 years of anonymous voting proxies? How unexpected. We felt it was time to take a more active role, Donovan said, taking a seat directly across from Victor. Especially given some concerning discoveries about executive conduct. Before Victor could respond, the door opened and Sophia swept in like a hurricane made of designer perfume and absolute confidence. She looked radiant, powerful, untouchable. She looked like a woman who owned the world. Her eyes passed over Donovan without recognition, just a flicker of irritation that her husband had somehow crashed her important meeting. Apologies for the delay, she said, taking her position at the head of the table opposite Victor. Traffic was murder. Now let's discuss the IPO timeline and my proposal to... Actually, Mrs. Hartwell, we need to address a different matter first. Penelope interrupted. Sophia's gaze sharpened. And you are? Penelope Cross, legal counsel for the Titan Trust. We've called this emergency meeting to discuss several issues regarding executive misconduct, fiduciary breaches, and fraud. The room went silent. You could hear the air conditioning humming. Victor leaned forward. That's quite an accusation. I assume you have evidence. Extensive evidence, Donovan said quietly. Sophia's eyes finally, truly focused on him. Confusion flickered across her face. Why was her house husband speaking? Why was he here at all? Donovan, what are you? Let's start with the basics, Penelope said, pulling up a presentation on the screen. The Titan Trust has been EDU Tech Solutions' largest investor for 5 years. Multiple capital injections totaling $340 million, always at critical moments when a company faced potential collapse. Numbers filled the screen. Transaction records. Bank transfers. Each one dated and verified. 2019, $50 million when your Series B funding fell through. 2020, $75 million during the pandemic when revenue dropped 40%. 2021, $90 million when your largest client defaulted. 2022, $125 million for the expansion into international markets. Sophia stared at the screen, her confident expression cracking. The Titan Trust, that was always you? She was looking at Penelope, but Donovan answered. Not her. Me. The room erupted in confused murmurs. Board members looked at each other, then at Donovan, then at Sophia. That's impossible, Sophia said, but her voice wavered. You don't have that kind of money. You're homeless. Donovan stood slowly. A street wretch you dressed up and paraded around? Your little charity project. Understanding dawned across her face, like a sunrise over a wasteland. No, she whispered. Yes. Donovan nodded to Penelope, who brought up the next slide. Titan Trust Holdings, majority shareholder. Principal owner, Donovan Michael Pierce. Current stake, 51% of EDU Tech Solutions. The silence was absolute. Sophia gripped the edge of the table so hard her knuckles went white. This is a joke. Some kind of sick prank. It's verified, said Gerald Hoffman, the lead independent board member. He was staring at his tablet, face pale. I'm looking at the documentation right now. Mr. Pierce. He's been the beneficial owner of the majority stake for 3 years. We've been voting as proxies without knowing his identity. How? Sophia's voice cracked. How could you possibly? Cryptocurrency. Donovan said simply, while I was sleeping on your office couch 8 years ago, I had $3,000 left in an old Bitcoin wallet I'd forgotten about. I used the office computers at night to trade. Build it into $50,000 in 3 months. Then $500,000 in a year. He walked slowly around the table, every eye tracking him. While you were building your company, I was building something bigger. Ethereum, Solana, smart contracts, DeFi protocols. I turned that $50,000 into $50 million, then $500 million, then more. But you? Sophia looked lost, a stranger in her own boardroom. You never said anything. You let me think. That I was worthless? That I owed you everything? That you'd save me? Donovan's voice stayed calm, almost gentle. That made it worse. I wanted to see if the woman who sat with me in the rain was real, if the kindness was genuine, or if you'd saved me just to own me. I loved you, Sophia said, and for a moment she sounded like the girl from 8 years ago. No, you loved the idea of me, the project, the before and after story you could tell at parties. Donovan turned to the board. But that's not why we're here. We're here because Mrs. Hartwell and Mr. Strand have been committing fraud. Victor shot to his feet. That's a lie. Is it? Penelope pulled up the next presentation. Let's examine the evidence. What followed was 20 minutes of systematic destruction. Evidence of the affair, hotel receipts, text messages, photographs. The board members shifted uncomfortably, but business was business. Personal indiscretions weren't illegal. But then came the real bombshell. For the past 18 months, Penelope continued, Mr. Strand has been systematically sabotaging EDU Tech Solutions growth initiatives, delayed product launches, sabotaged client relationships, deliberately tanked European expansion. Why would I sabotage my own company? Victor demanded, but sweat beaded on his forehead. Because you were planning a hostile takeover, Donovan said. Drive down the stock price, then swoop in with outside investors to buy controlling interest at a fraction of the true value. You've been in talks with Prometheus Capital for 9 months. The screen filled with emails, contract negotiations, financial projections, all with Victor's signature. You were going to betray Sophia the moment you had enough leverage, Donovan continued. Push her out, take control, and sell the company for parts to Prometheus for $600 million. Your cut, $200 million. Sophia turned to Victor, her face a mask of disbelief. Tell me he's lying. Victor's silence said everything. You, her voice shook, not with sadness, with rage. You were using me. Oh, sweetheart, Donovan said, and the endearment was poison. He learned from the best. More evidence flashed on the screen. Messages between Victor and Prometheus Capital CEO, discussing how to eliminate the Hartwell problem after the takeover. Discussions of character assassination. Plans to paint Sophia as unstable, erratic, a liability to investors. The same playbook she planned to use on Donovan. And the abuse allegations? Gerald asked quietly, looking at Sophia. Completely fabricated, Penelope said. We have security footage from a hospital showing Mrs. Hartwell applying makeup to simulate bruises. We have text messages to her personal assistant discussing how to build a case. We have recordings of conversations with her divorce attorney strategizing the false allegations. Sophia collapsed into her chair, her empire crumbling in real time. The goal was simple, Donovan said. Destroy my credibility. Divorce me with favorable terms, then run off with Victor after the IPO. Except Victor was planning to destroy you right after. He turned to the board. I'm calling for an immediate vote. Removal of Sophia Hartwell as CEO, effective immediately. Removal of Victor Strand as CTO, effective immediately. Both for breach of fiduciary duty, fraud, and corporate sabotage. You can't do this, Sophia whispered. I own 51%. I can do whatever I want. Donovan's voice stayed eerily calm. All in favor? Every hand went up. Even the investors who've been Sophia's champions. Business was business. Liability was liability. Motion passes. Gerald looked genuinely sad. Sophia, Victor, you're both terminated. Security will escort you out. You have 1 hour to clear your personal belongings. Wait. Sophia stood, desperate. Donovan, please. We can talk about this. I made mistakes, but... Mrs. Hartwell, he corrected. We're not married anymore. My lawyers filed for divorce this morning. You'll be served papers by end of day. The prenup protects me completely. You signed it 8 years ago, remember? When you were so confident I'd never have anything worth protecting. The irony hit her like a physical blow. Security appeared at the door. 2 large men with pleasant, professional faces and absolute authority. Victor left first, not even looking at Sophia, cowered to the end. But Sophia stood frozen, staring at Donovan like she was seeing him for the first time. How long? She asked. How long have you known about Victor? 18 months. And you said nothing? I want to see how far you go. How completely you betray someone who loved you. Donovan finally let emotion creep into his voice. Sadness, not anger. I needed to know if the woman from that rainy night still existed somewhere inside you, or if success had killed her completely. Tears streamed down Sophia's face, destroying her carefully applied makeup. She's still here. I'm still that person. I lost myself. The pressure, the expectations. I became someone I didn't recognize. No, Donovan said gently. You became exactly who you wanted to be. Power doesn't change people. It reveals them. Please. She reached for his hand. He stepped back. Please don't do this. I can change. We can start over. I'll be better, I swear. Like you swore 8 years ago to always see me as an equal before you started introducing me as your charity project. I was wrong. I was cruel and stupid and wrong. Her voice broke. But I need you. The company needs you. Don't destroy everything we built. Everything I built, Donovan corrected quietly. With my money, my investments, my strategy, you were just the face. He nodded to Penelope, who pulled up one final document. However, I'm not completely without mercy. There's an opening in the marketing department. Entry-level position. $45,000 a year. Health benefits after 6 months. If you want it, it's yours. Sophia stared at the job listing on the screen. The same salary she'd paid Donovan 8 years ago when she'd hired him off the street. The symmetry was deliberate. Cool. Perfect. You're offering me a job? Her laugh was broken glass. In my own company? My company, Donovan said. And yes, out of old kindness. The kindness you showed me once, before you forgot what kindness meant. I'd rather die than die. He turned away from her. Security, please escort Mrs. Hartwell out. As they led her toward the door, she twisted back one last time. I did love you. In the beginning, I really loved you. Donovan didn't turn around. I know. That's what makes this so sad. The door closed behind her. The board sat in stunned silence until Gerald finally spoke. What now? Now we stabilize, Donovan said, his business voice replacing the personal pain. I'll assume CEO responsibilities temporarily. We'll promote from within for CTO. The IPO is delayed 6 months while we clean house and rebuild trust. And we're implementing new ethics policies that actually mean something. And the company direction? For the first time since the meeting started, Donovan smiled. A real smile. We get back to the mission. Educational software for underprivileged communities. Technology that lifts people up instead of exploiting them. We remember that business should create value, not just extract it. He looked around the table at the venture capitalists and tech bros who'd enabled Sophia's transformation from idealist to tyrant. We remember that people aren't projects. They're not charity cases or reclamation experiments. They're human beings deserving of dignity. And if this company ever forgets that again, I'll burn it down myself. Gerald nodded slowly. I think we can work with that. Donovan's office, EDU Tech Solutions. Rain drummed against the floor-to-ceiling windows of the corner office that used to be Sophia's. Donovan stood looking out at San Francisco, watching people hurry through the storm with umbrellas and hope and dreams. The IPO had been a success. EDU Tech Solutions went public at $50 per share, valuing the company at $1.2 billion. Donovan's stake was now worth over $600 million on paper. Add that to his cryptocurrency holdings, and he'd officially joined the billionaire club. Forbes wanted an interview. TechCrunch called him a visionary. LinkedIn influencers wrote think pieces about his humble rise from homelessness to tech titan. He hated every minute of it. Success, he'd learned, was the loneliest achievement in the world. His assistant knocked. Mr. Pierce, there's someone here to see you. She doesn't have an appointment, but she's insistent. Donovan didn't need to ask who. He'd been expecting this for weeks. Send her in. Sophia Hartwell walked into the office like a ghost of herself. Designer clothes replaced by Target basics. Perfect hair now, just clean and simple. No makeup. No armor. She looked more like the woman from 8 years ago than she had in the last 5 years of their marriage. Hi, she said softly. Hi. I'm not here to beg. Or apologize again. You made it clear that ship has sailed. Then why are you here? Sophia pulled an envelope from her purse and set it on his desk. I'm leaving California. Moving to Portland. Found a job at a small nonprofit, teaching coding to foster kids. It pays $38,000 a year. I'll be living in a studio apartment above a Thai restaurant. She smiled, and it was the saddest, most genuine smile he'd ever seen from her. I wanted to thank you. Donovan blinked. Thank me? For destroying me. Completely. Utterly. Down to the foundation. She gestured at herself. This person you're looking at right now? She's who I was before I decided that being kind made you weak. Before I convinced myself that saving you meant I owned you. Sophia, let me finish. Please. She took a breath. I spent 8 years building an empire on the backs of people I convinced myself were beneath me. I became everything I used to hate. And I did it so gradually I didn't even notice. Rain continued drumming against the windows. The city sprawled below them, indifferent to their pain. You want to know the worst part? Sophia's voice cracked. That night I sat with you in the rain, that was real. The woman who saw potential in a homeless stranger and wanted to help him? She existed. And I killed her, slowly. One humiliation at a time. One cruel word. One charity project joke. Until she was gone. Why are you telling me this? Because you deserve to know that I loved you. Really loved you. Before I forgot how. She moved toward the door, then paused. And because you were right. Power doesn't change people. It reveals them. I was revealed as someone small and cruel. But maybe starting over from nothing will help me find the good parts again. She opened the door, then looked back one final time. For what it's worth, I'm proud of you. You became everything I pretended to be. Someone who actually gives a damn about helping people. Someone who kept their soul intact. A tear rolled down her cheek. I really did love you. I just love myself more. And I'm sorry. Not because I want you back. Because you deserve better. The door closed quietly behind her. Donovan stood alone in his office, looking at the envelope she'd left. Inside was a check, $47, $382. Every penny she had left after legal fees and settlements. And a note in her handwriting. For the next kid sleeping in doorways. Because someone should still believe in kindness. 2 weeks later, San Francisco streets. Donovan drove through the city at night, like he did sometimes when the penthouse felt too empty and success felt too hollow. Past the coffee shop where Sophia had found him. Past the diner where she bought him his first real meal in days. He was stopped at a red light when he saw her. A girl, maybe 22, huddled in a doorway against the rain. Soaked through, shivering. That same look of desperate hopelessness he'd worn 8 years ago. The light turned green. Cars honked behind him. Donovan pulled over, grabbed the umbrella from his back seat, and walked over to the doorway. The girl looked up, scared and defensive. I'm not here to hurt you, he said gently. When's the last time you ate? I don't need charity. He smiled. God, he'd said those exact words once. Good, because I'm not offering it. I'm Donovan Pierce. I run a tech company 3 blocks from here. And you have kind eyes. The girl blinked, confused. What happened to you? He asked. Maybe it was exhaustion. Maybe desperation. But she told him student loans, lost job, eviction, 3 nights on the street. He listened without interrupting. Without that look people get when they're mentally calculating their exit. When she finished, he did something that Sophia had done for him 8 years ago. He sat down beside her in the rain. I've been there, he said. 8 years ago, I was sleeping in this exact doorway, and someone helped me, not because they wanted to own me or turn me into a project, just because she remembered what it felt like to be broken. The girl stared at him like he was speaking a foreign language. Why are you telling me this? Because I'm offering you a job, coding and product development at my company. I can't promise you'll get rich, but I can promise dignity, respect, a chance to rebuild. He stood and extended his hand. I'm a good judge of character, usually, and I think you're worth the risk. She took his hand. It was cold and shaking but real. At the same diner, he ordered food and watched her eat. No judgment, no condescension. When she tried to slow down, embarrassed, he said, Eat. You're going to need energy for tomorrow. Tomorrow, you start at 9. There's a couch in the office you can sleep on until you get back on your feet. He slid his business card across the table. Fair warning, I expect excellence. But I also believe in second chances. The girl, her name was River Sutton, stared at the car with tears in her eyes. Why are you doing this? Donovan thought of Sophia in Portland. teaching coding to foster kids for $38,000 a year. He thought of the check she'd left him, meant for the next kid in doorways. He thought of the woman who'd saved him and the monster she'd become and the person she was trying to rebuild from the ashes. Because someone did it for me once, he said finally, and because kindness should outlive the people who show it. That night, River slept on the office couch wrapped in a clean blanket. As Donovan drove home through the rain-slick streets, his phone buzzed. Text from an unknown number. Just saw your Instagram story about hiring someone new. Hope you remember what kindness actually means. Don't make my mistakes. S. He stared at the message for a long moment, then typed a response. I won't. Thank you for the reminder. 3 dots appeared, then disappeared, then appeared again. Finally, be better than I was. Donovan looked at those words, then at the city lights reflecting off wet pavement, and made a promise to himself. He would be, not by destroying people who wronged him. He got his revenge, and it tasted like ash, but by building something that actually mattered, by remembering that every person sleeping in doorways was someone's child, someone's friend, someone who deserved a chance, by being the person Sophia had pretended to be. 3 years later, EDU Tech Solutions annual charity gala. The ballroom was packed with tech industry elite, all dressed in their expensive uniforms of calculated casualness. But this gala was different from the one where Sophia had slapped Donovan 3 years ago. This one actually gave a damn. Donovan stood at the podium, looking out at the crowd. 3 years ago, this company nearly destroyed itself from the inside. We forgot our mission. We forgot why we started. We forgot that technology should serve humanity, not exploit it. Scattered applause. People shifting uncomfortably. They didn't like being reminded of their complicity. Tonight, I'm proud to announce that EDU Tech Solutions has provided free educational software to 500,000 underprivileged students across 42 states. We've hired 200 employees through our Second Chance program for homeless individuals. And we've remained profitable while doing it. Real applause now. Genuine enthusiasm. But I want to introduce you to someone special. He gestured to the side entrance. River Sutton, our new Chief Innovation Officer. River walked on stage, confident and radiant in a way that had nothing to do with designer clothes. The girl from the doorway was gone, replaced by a brilliant technologist who developed 3 of their most successful products. River was homeless when I hired her 3 years ago, Donovan said. Today, she holds 16 patents and runs our innovation lab. Because talent has nothing to do with where you sleep at night. The crowd rose in a standing ovation. As River spoke about their new initiatives, Donovan scanned the room and saw her, Sophia Hartwell, standing in the back in a simple dress. She'd been invited as a courtesy. She'd founded the company, after all, but she'd come alone. No entourage, no armor, just a woman who'd learned to be small again. Their eyes met across the ballroom. She smiled, sad but genuine, and raised her glass in a silent toast. Not to him, not to the company, to something else, to lessons learned, to becoming better people, to the possibility of redemption. Donovan raised his glass in return. Then she turned and quietly left, disappearing into San Francisco night, like the ghost of who they both used to be. After the gala, Donovan found an envelope in his office. Inside was a newspaper clipping about Sophia's nonprofit in Portland. They had just received a $10 million grant to expand their foster care coding program nationwide. And a note, power doesn't reveal who you are. It reveals who you choose to become. Choose wisely. S. Donovan pinned the note to his office wall, right next to a photo from 8 years ago. Sophia and him, taken the week after she'd hired him. Both of them young and hopeful, and not yet broken by success. In the photo, they looked happy, real, human. He'd kept the photo as a reminder. Money, power, success, none of it meant anything if you lost yourself along the way. And that the cruelest revenge wasn't destroying your enemy. It was becoming everything they pretended to be, then watching them rebuild themselves from the ashes of their own choices. So here's the question I want you to think about. Was Donovan's revenge justified? Or did he become just as cruel as Sophia? Did she deserve to lose everything? Or did everyone deserve a second chance? even people who betrayed the ones who saved them? Because here's the thing about revenge. It might feel satisfying in a moment, but it doesn't heal the wounds. It doesn't bring back the person who hurt you. It doesn't restore what was lost. The only thing that truly changes anything is choosing to be better than the people who broke you. Donovan chose to help River not to prove a point to Sophia, but to honor the memory of who Sophia used to be. And Sophia chose to rebuild herself not to win him back, but to find the person she'd lost along the way. That's the real victory, not revenge. Becoming who you were always meant to be. If this story moved you, smash that like button. If you believe in second chances, hit subscribe and drop a comment telling me, would you have forgiven Sophia, or was Donovan right to walk away? Because the most powerful person in the room isn't the one with the most money or the most power. It's the one who knows exactly who they are and refuses to compromise it for anyone. Remember, success should lift you up, not turn you into someone you don't recognize. And kindness, real kindness, isn't weakness. It's the strongest thing you can choose. Stay strong, stay kind, and never let anyone turn you into their charity project. This is your reminder that the person sleeping in doorways today might be a billionaire tomorrow. Treat everyone with dignity. You never know who you're talking to. See you in the next story.